Good evening, and welcome to the Trotwood-Madison Thursday, October 17th, 2024 regular meeting. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Carrington,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we will have our mission statement read by Lamari Gregory, a senior at the Ram Nation Virtual Academy. Hello. Not really.
There you go.
Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, my name is Lamari Gregory. I am a senior in the graduating class of 2025, and my plans for my future is to go to college for early childhood education. I want to either be a kindergarten teacher or I want to own a 24-hour daycare. I volunteer at the ELC because it's the first step in getting closer to the kids and getting closer to the thing I love, which is, being with the kids. I'm sorry. I chose Ram Nation Virtual Academy because it was a great opportunity for me to get my work done and keep my grades up without distractions and unnecessary drama. Since I've started Ram Nation, I've gotten honor roll, I've joined leadership group, and they're like a second family who I truly love and appreciate, especially Ms. Latham. I also appreciate Mr. JT Jazz Connection for supporting me and helping me reach my goals. I am now going to read you the mission statement. The mission statement of Trotwood-Madison City Schools is to graduate all students prepared to excel in a global society with a commitment to lifelong learning by guaranteeing a challenging curriculum, facilitated by an innovative and dedicated staff, community participation, and state-of-the-art resources in a stimulating atmosphere. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Great job. Thank you so much. Next is subject item number E, to adopt the agenda as present. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There is one change to the agenda. I provided everyone with a updated personnel agenda. There was one very small correction, number 28 on your personnel agenda. The salary was corrected. It was the wrong salary on the personnel agenda I sent you guys on Friday, and the one that came out with the agenda release. So that is the only correction, number 28.
Is that line 28?
Line 28, yes, line 28.
I need a motion to adopt the agenda with the change of line 28 on the HR agenda.
I motion that we adopt the agenda with changes.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Carrington,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, motion passes to adopt the agenda with the changes. Next up, do we have any community comments?
I do not have any at this time.
Okay. Moving right along. Number 3, presentations.
Well, we were going to recognize Mr. Stone, and I just texted him to see if he forgot about us, Mr. Justin Stone. So if the board is okay, if it's their pleasure, if we can move through the agenda, and if Mr. Stone comes up, present his award to him, his recognition to him once he comes. He confirmed with me, but I'm not sure what happened, so I'll double check and circle back around with him.
Okay. If it pleases the board, we will do that.
Yes.
Okay. All right, next subject, board reports. Are there any board reports?
Unless you want to do a recap of Fish Fry.
I would just have one little thing. Wanted just to make sure that we're keeping up with that, the changes with the House bill, all the House bills, Mr. Howard?
It's in his folder.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm a little ahead of myself. Okay, well,
No, you're not ahead of
Okay.
yourself. I appreciate that.
okay.
I'm glad you're informing me about it.
Okay, next, number 5, the consent agenda. So for the consent agenda, we need, the subject, approval of the student activity statement and budget principles account for school year 2024 through 2025. Read all of them, okay. Also, approval of the Walmart donation and approval of the commission check for Madison Park from Life Touch. Approval of the September 5th, 2024 work session minutes and the September 19th, 2024 business meeting minutes. Approval of the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission annual report. I need a motion.
I'll motion.
A second.
Ms. Allen, this has been moved and second for the approval for the consent agenda. Would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Currington,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, motion passes for the consent agenda. And now, we will circle back to our presentation.
All right, tonight we have a presentation. We want to recognize Mr. Stone. You know, he's been recognized on several different occasions, and we recognized him initially with regards for him being named a finalist in the regional District 4, District 3 Teacher of the Year. So we just kind of want to close out and provide him some tokens of appreciation on behalf of the Board of Education. We just want to make sure that he understands that we're proud of him. We support him, and we want to give him a few things that show that. So if the board doesn't mind coming over here. Mr. Stone, you mind coming up?
All right, Mr. Stone.
On behalf of the Board of Education, we have a plaque for you. You can read that plaque.
Oh,
I can read it, for you. We give it to you, we'll give it to you. All right, I'll read it. Trotwood-Madison City Schools, congratulations and appreciation to Justin Stone, District 3 Teacher of the Year by the Ohio Department of Education for the 24-25 school year, presented on October 11th, 2024. Mr. Stone, unfortunately, was ill. We were going to present this to him during homecoming right before the game, but unfortunately he was ill, so we wanted to make sure we recognized that. So, Mr. Stone, congratulations. Also in the bag, you have a really nice Ram half zip and a $250 gift card from the Board of Education for you to use in your classroom. Can we get your picture real quick? Yeah, you stand in the middle with your. Thank you, Ms. Stone.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, that's always good news and something to celebrate. Next on our agenda is number 6, the treasurer's report.
Yes, I have a couple things this evening. The first one is I would like the board approval for the FY '25 through FY '28 Westward contract. This is a 3-year contract, that I would like for us to do business with Westward. Westward is an entity that does our Medicaid reimbursements. And so the $3,000 per month that we are paying them, our return on our investment is phenomenal. The last check I think we received was $240,000. And so the money is very well spent, and I'm asking tonight for approval for this contract that runs from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027.
Okay. So I need approval for, I need a motion for, the resolution to approve the 25 through 28 Westford contract.
I motion.
I'll second.
Excuse me, Ms. Allen, it's been moved to second. Could you call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Currington,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, motion passes for the Westwood contract. Item B.
Okay, item B, we did have a finance committee, meeting this evening, Mrs. Currington and myself. Mrs. Simmons was not able to make it this evening, but we did go over all of the reports this evening. And, the three of the 20 reports that we went over, I'll present to you this evening. The first one is the cash reconciliation report for the month of September. And it indicates the bank statement balances of $6,516,922.09. Our investment balances total $28,281,278.95. With outstanding vendor checks and some adjustments, our bank balance equals $34,534,885.62, and that matches exactly to the financial balances that are on our financial system. The second report is our spending plan summary. That is a compilation of all of our monthly actuals as well as the fiscal year-to-date actuals, and that fiscal year-to-date starts from July 1st through the end of September. And this month, we were able to receive our first installment of the personal property tax. We thank our citizens of Trotwood for that money. And also, because we got that money on line 6.01, our revenue exceeds our expenses by $3.5 million for the month. And then therefore, for fiscal year-to-date, it exceeds by $2.8 million. So that's always a good thing. I always talk about deficit spending. So at this point in the year, which is the first quarter, we are not deficit spending. The last report is our checks over $1,000, and these are checks that were issued in September. One question that was raised at the Finance Committee meeting was check 1104650 to Play Care LLC, and that was in the amount of $20,231.25, and that was for playground equipment at Westbrook Village. So that, if anybody else has any questions on those financial reports, I'm asking the board to approve those reports as presented.
Does anyone have any questions?
No.
Okay. Well, I need a motion to approve the amended appropriations for the period ending June 30th. No, I'm sorry. I need a motion to approve of the September financial reports.
I motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Ms. Allen, would you call the roll?
Mrs. Currington,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes. Motion passes.
And the last item I have is another resolution to approve the amended appropriations for the period June 30th, 2025. And the only change from last time that I presented that on September 19th was $7,500 on line for Fund 019, and that's other grants. And that $7,500 was increased on the appropriation because of the increased expenses. And so that's the total appropriations for this October 17th, 2024 is $58,645,946.15. And again, I'm asking for the board's approval for that amendment.
I need a motion to approve the amended appropriation for the period ending in June 30th.
I motion.
I second.
Ms. Allen, it's been properly moved in second. Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Currington.
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, motion passes.
And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Next, number 7, superintendent's report.
Thank you. I only have one item on the superintendent's report this evening. It is requesting approval of the personnel agenda, October 17th, 2024, as you amended with number 28 with the amendment. As you can see, a lot of substitute teachers, special ed paraprofessionals, substitute secretaries, and then as we move into the supplementals, a lot of the clubs and activities that are being that are starting to take place in the building, along with a lot of the winter sports athletic positions. So after you review that, I am requesting action on that this evening. And again, with all the substitutes too, those are on as-needed basis. Yes. And I'll get clarification on that specifically afterwards, but yeah, that's usually what that means.
We ready or
Ready. So after reviewing the personnel agenda, are there any questions?
No.
not?
Okay, so I need approval,
No. Motion.
a motion to approve the personnel agenda.
I motion.
I second.
Ms. Allen? It has been moved in second, properly moved in second. Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Currington,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, motion passes for the approval of the personnel agenda. Next, we have discussion items and updates.
Okay, I have a few discussion items for you guys and updates. The first, letter A, if you open up your manila folder, Ms. Cherry and I had a brief conversation with regards to the strategic plan and I shared the strategic plan with you guys a little earlier in the year. And the document that you have is a copy of the strategic plan that was completed in, I believe, 2018. It talks about the process that we went through to develop the plan. It gives a lot of information about how the plan was created. It also identifies the different goals. Now, the copy came out a little messed up, disorganized with regards to the actual goals. But there are 6 goals, and as you thumb through it, you can identify goals 1 through 6. But the conversation Ms. Cherry and I had centered around whether or not the board would be interested in, Ms. Cherry, you can help me with that, would be interested in having a retreat to discuss the district strategic plan and how or if we need to update the plan, we need to change the plan. And I'll give you a clean copy. I didn't look at the goals that were out of order, but just how the board would like to proceed with the work of a strategic plan that will pretty much guide the work of the board and the school district. And really, we wanted to make sure that we got the plan back out in front of people, and people had an opportunity to see what the plan was, see how it was created. Because I believe it's a good document. I believe it's a solid document. But the question is, if we are going to continue to use this plan, do there need to be any changes? Do there need to be any updates, et cetera? Is that the gist of our conversation?
Yes, and I think that, with giving the new board members, and I'm relatively new myself, but, given with the new board members, I think that we should have a retreat, to get some form of, give some form of input and, just to be, updated on the strategic plan, collectively.
I mean, I think that's right. And it does look like the document is well written. My only question would be, is since it was, the last time it was reviewed and the last time it was created was 2018, there have been some major changes since 2018. So are we gonna go deep into like adjusting the plan based on some of the changes at the state level, some of those things?
Me personally, I think that would be the bulk of the work, to work our way through the document, and the ordering is backwards, so it
Yeah,
starts with
no,
one, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the bulk of the work would definitely be to review the plan and to identify anything that we see within the goals that have been established that need to be updated, that need to be reflective of the current state. You know, some of the goals are general in nature, but very specific in action steps and very specific in the details. And Ms. Allen was a part of this process as well, very specific in the action steps and the outcomes. But yeah, I do. I think that this is I think that'd be a great idea to just meet, review it, and then do some homework amongst ourselves if
And then who,
there are
like-
anything that needs to be updated.
I guess my other question would be, who in the community are we inviting to be a part of the conversation about any updates that we make to it? And being very strategic about who we invite and who we want to have as a part of that conversation.
Well, my question would be, would that be a second meeting after a retreat? Or would that be an initial, because I do think the board needs to take a look at it and go through it
Absolutely.
first. And then after we make any amendments, any updates, then maybe having a formal strategic planning committee where we bring folks in and we talk about the plan and we talk about, what our strategic plan is. But I thought through our conversation, Ms. Cherry wanted to bring the board together first to work through it, and we worked through it to kind of see initially where we are. And then next steps would be that, that little wider scale conversation. That was my perception. But I think that's all a part of the process.
So, I mean, but the idea is that we're not changing it completely, right? Or like, I'm asking, I guess
Yeah.
I'm asking Cherry.
Yeah.
Probably agreed upon, changes, like you said, some of them are general. So, the ones that are general, they probably could remain. But then, I think that some input from the community would be essential for our plan.
So I think the first meeting will be to, why are you so quiet? That's kind of crazy. But the first meeting could be to identify what we're keeping, and then those things that we want to add, I feel like we need to be community inclusive. That's
Yes.
that's my opinion on it.
So take for instance, you look at goal 1 where it says our educational programs will be responsive to each and every student and prepare them for future success. You know, that's standing.
Standing. Right.
You know, and, you know, as you get into the, you know, the priorities and the goals and, you know, and some of the, some of the, you know, the steps that are taken with regards to meeting some of these metrics, I think those are the things that we would, you know, definitely look at updating. But, you know, most of the goals are standard in nature, that they are reflective of what we are still trying to do as a school district, and what you guys would, you know, would probably want to work with through the process of, you know, of leadership through policy. But I think the metrics, getting down into the metrics would be those things that we need to identify and work through.
But first, we need to identify the changes based on the state changes.
Yeah.
And then work from there. And I think that, each board member should comb through this and identify what they individually think needs to be changed or should be changed, and then we should collectively.
I guess I have a question. So when this was developed, has it ever been implemented? Because if it has not been implemented, I would want to know why. If it's such a great plan, why did we not move forward with it?
I'll tell you why.
I think that is, I mean, we're on our 4th superintendent.
Yeah.
So so is that why?
Lot of transition.
Like,
A lot of transition. This was a part of the process during the imminent state takeover. It was an integral part of the process. From that, transition took place. Then COVID happened, and then there was
transition.
additional transition, and there's some more transition. So I think this plan was kind of just floating out there, but it was never used as a reflective tool for growth and leadership.
So then, my second question would be, with there being a new board and a new leadership team, I think we may have some new, fresh ideas. So I don't want to lock in to this plan with the new group of people that we have.
I totally agree with that. I think that it's a good plan, but reviewing it and using it and making changes, or if you wanna scrap it and you know, move in a different direction.
I think if you haven't used it as a baseline
Right.
since 2018, I don't think that scrapping it is the right thing to do. But to review it and familiarize yourself with it, and then kind of talk about what changes we want to make as a new board, I think is okay. But I think that you definitely need to include your community in those conversations, because that's how you get a holistic buy-in for the
And your new
changes that
leadership,
you
and
want
your
to make.
new leadership team. It's a whole new team of people I see. So,
And speaking,
with
you
another
know,
wealth of knowledge.
speaking prospectively from, you know, from the process, you know, and Ms. Allen can chime in if, you know, if she'd like. You know, it was a 2-day retreat. It was heavy. They brought in a consultant from, I believe, Boston, Massachusetts, and he walked us through this process. I mean, it was a very, very thorough process. And we spent 2 days.
Yeah, but how
working
reactive
through
was it, though? How reactive was it to the current environment of facing state takeover? You know what I mean? Like, so,
They ever used it. I don't
yeah,
think-
like,
What
was
do
it
you say?
more of a check mark to say, all right, we did this, so we're not gonna get taken over, and didn't actually have the ability to implement it because of what was going on?
I don't all the way, well, let me say this. The plan was a solid plan, and the process was a solid plan. And it may have been
For that.
a check, but it actually was a thorough product that was produced. It actually was a thorough product. I mean, if you look at the goals, if you look at the key metrics, it still makes reference to map data. It makes reference to a lot of the tools that we're still using. Again, it definitely needs to be adjusted and addressed based on where we are now. But, you know, I still think the goals are very relative to where we are, and it was a solid process, but the plan just became the plan.
Dormant, it just.
Yeah, it just
yes.
became the plan, and it was
And
posted on the
most
website.
strategic plans, most sit there unless you have individuals pushing that plan and making people accountable to hold to the plan. I think the process was great. The consultant they brought in, one thing I really liked about it is they incorporated the community. And the community had an opportunity to voice their buy-in, and I thought that was a really, really good part of that whole process.
And I think that we would like to keep that. I think as all the board members need to really, really dissect this plan, and then come to, maybe a retreat with changes and or suggestions. Because none of us has went through this thoroughly enough to say, you know, whether to keep the plan or not. So I think we should really, like I said, dissect this plan and then go from there.
So with regards to a retreat, you wanna get back, maybe have a discussion next meeting? And put this
Yes.
on the agenda again?
What, do the retreat? Yes.
Oh, yes, and, Mr. Howard, if you can just provide us with some dates for a retreat, and we can agree upon that.
We have standing Saturday meetings with our admin team. And I think our next one is November 10th. The first Saturday?
That's the
Second Saturday in November, where our admin team will be here. Now, they'll be working on some, first Saturday. They'll be working on some other things with regards to evaluation and
No, I think that's perfect for us to.
Yeah.
It's the second Saturday, November 9th.
November
That's
9th.
what I had. I mean, you all can check, but that's what I have on my calendar.
So,
That won't work for me.
yeah, so we'll,
And then, you know, we also get ready the next day to go to Columbus. No, we have the,
you want me to just throw some dates out there?
Yes.
Okay, I'll throw some dates out. Okay. Saturdays, Thursdays, what day works better for the group?
Saturday.
Saturday?
Weekend definitely for me.
Okay. Like an 8 to 11:30 or 8 to something before noon?
Flag on the play.
Okay, I'll throw some dates out and then we'll go from there. And if you need a.
8 is fine with me.
Yeah, if you need a cleaner copy, I'll make sure I do that. It's just backwards again, but
Okay,
all right?
okay.
All right. Let me see, let me get back log back in. B, after-school programming updates. I just want to keep this on everybody's radar. Ms. Murdoch, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Okay.
Ms. Murdoch had the,
Yeah,
okay.
she had B. I'm sorry.
All right, so I gave you a document you can certainly take a look at. We did talk before about high dosage tutoring and the requirements from Ohio that all students who are on a reading improvement plan have access to high dosage tutoring. According to Ohio law, that means that they have to have tutoring a minimum of 30 minutes per week, 3 times per week. And we have corresponded regularly with the Department
for the middle school, spoke with Mr. Gibson and talked to Mr. McCray as well. Middle school is going to work, currently they have 130 students that are signed up for our homework help and tutoring program, along with the clubs that will be taking place. You guys have started to approve a lot of the supplemental clubs and activities that Mr. Gibson is working through. But currently he has 130 students that are signed up. And Ms. Murdoch and I talked through this a little bit today. 11 certified teachers and 1 intervention specialist, who is a certified teacher as well, will be working with kids after school. We're gonna sift through to make sure that, you know, if we have 11 teachers working, they're servicing 130 kids. You know, nobody's gonna be working if they don't have children to service. And Mr. Gibson's gonna follow up a little bit with that programming, and I believe he's anticipating that starting here in the next couple of weeks. And then the high school, their focus is gonna be on credit recovery. I shared with the board last meeting the graduation numbers, roughly around 230 kids. Got a little more information from Mr. McCray yesterday. Of those 230 kids, 150, 160 of them are on track or either 1 or 2 credits away from graduation or have already met the requirements. And then there are about 80 to 90 kids that need intervention, need credit recovery. And those kids are the ones that they as in the high school staff have identified as those kids that they're going to start working with after school to make up some of those credits and to get them over that line. So Mr. McCray and I will have a little more follow-up with regards to that. He's anticipating that if these kids do what they need to do, we can get most of them over that hurdle. And all kids that participate in after school, all students 2 through 8 will get transportation home. They will get fed in the evening, and then same with high school as far as getting fed in the evening. Currently, right now, with activities and athletics, I think we're serving close to 60 or 70 kids a day, food-wise in general, after school. So we're feeding them, and we're going to get them home K through 8.
On the high school, are we open for questions?
Yeah, I'm finished. Thank you, Ms. Murdoch.
So for the high school kids that we're putting in that credit recovery program, how are we tracking attendance? And how are we tracking their progress?
That's a great question, and Mr. McCray and I we're gonna have a meeting Monday to iron out all those details to make sure that we have that. And once I get that information, I will bring it to the board and share it with them, because that was a concern over the last couple of years. You know, as far as tutoring is concerned, you know, we have all these tutors.
I guess that's a question for all of the programs too. Like how many kids do we have that are using them? Is there any way that we can make it that if your kid's not on track with this, they have to be a part of that program?
Right.
I know that sounds extreme, but if we're gonna
but I
move the
think,
needle.
yeah, and I think from the just general perspective of, you know, programming, you know, if you're talking about 90 or so kids that are credit deficient, there has to be, and this is a conversation Ms. Murdoch and the you know, Ms. Mallory, Mr. Manley, we've all had with regards to, we have to have some type of early alert system that triggers after 9th grade, 10th grade. If these kids are credit deficient at this point, we've got to start putting them in these type of programs earlier too. Right. And we've had bits and pieces of this, but we've got to formalize it at this point. So that's a goal that we're going to definitely focus on over the next couple of months to try to figure out, okay, we know where we are this year, but for 25, 26, starting at the beginning of the year, we're going to have some programming to address those kids. And Mr. McCray has talked to me about, you know, after the freshman year, we've got to have some dedicated program to address credit deficiency. But to your question, yes, I'll make sure I follow up on that tracking.
Okay, I just, with the high-dose tutoring, my question once again is, who's tracking that success and who is tracking to ensure that these students are participating in the tutoring? And so in the past, you know, you visit the tutoring and it's kids over here, kids over there, it's maybe be three over in this area, 5 in this area, and not a whole lot of tutoring is taking place.
Right.
So that is the question, like who's tracking it? And you said that there would be, so many students at the middle school.
Right, he currently has 130
130
students that
students.
have been identified. Mhm.
Okay.
So through the conversation we had this afternoon and last week, he will have all of the identified students. They will all be assigned to different teachers, to different classrooms, and attendance will be taken with regards to who shows up and who doesn't show up. So it's going to be my responsibility and his to make sure that the kids are showing up.
So, are we alerting parents through Parent Square that kids have been identified for this program?
For his program, yes, because there's also a transportation aspect to it as well. Great question. And then on the 2-5 level, all those parents have been, yeah. And then the like I said, the 80 or so kids right now, they're putting a full court press on those kids right now to get those kids involved in some of the credit recovery things that we got to iron out. Because it's happened. I mean, we've had some kids that have been credit deficient at the beginning of the year, you know, 8 credits or so, and with the credit deficiency programs or the alternative pathways, you know, that's also an option out there too. There's some alternative pathways for kids that are credit deficient. So we're gonna do our research and make sure we dig into what we need to do to get these kids across that line.
Okay.
Good. C is the Chamber of Commerce dinner. If you look at document D, well, first of all, this is the Chamber of Commerce newsletter, Chamber Connection, and you can see that we are highlighted in the newsletter for the Chamber of Commerce as we were one of the sponsors for their annual golf outing. We also had a team participating. If you look a little further in the packet, you'll see some of the teams that won, and then you'll see some of our staff members who participated in the chamber meeting. But the basis for this is that on November 8th, the chamber will hold their annual dinner, recognizing a business of the year. And if you're interested in going, please just let me know.
When is it?
November 8th. November 8th, and I believe it starts at 6. I don't know for sure, but November 8th. If you're interested in going, just let me know, and then I will make sure Ms. Potter gets everybody a ticket. And then,
I'm sorry. what
Okay.
do we have?
oh, great, I'm sorry. Goodwill Easter Seals. Goodwill Easter Seals, November 8th, right over here in town. And I believe it's the 6th, but I'll let you know for sure. Oh, 5:30 to 8:30, I'm sorry. 5:30 to 8:30. So it's 30 minutes left. That's Friday on the 8th. All right. And there's a nomination in there for Business of the Year, and people put those nominations in. Trotwood-Madison City Schools won Business of the Year maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where they recognized, maybe a little, this last time on the chamber, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. But usually smaller business get the opportunity to get recognized. It's a nice dinner. Somebody from the county comes up and speaks. It's a good networking opportunity for the district. But we are active members of the Chamber of Commerce. And D, November 5th is Election Day, and we will be asynchronous that day. All students will be at home. Trotwood-Madison High School does serve as a election polling site. Usually, especially during presidential election year, there's gonna be a lot of traffic here in the building. So teachers will be here, they will be on site, working. I provided you a professional development schedule for what the teachers are gonna be doing, but there will be no students on site. There's a professional development schedule, just so you can just get a gist of what will be going on in the buildings. Two PDs I do wanna highlight. The ViewSonic training, the boards are in. I believe we're almost done with all of the boards in all of the buildings. There will be there'll be a trainer here from the company. Three trainers, I believe, 3 different trainers from the company, and they will be training all staff on how to utilize those new boards in their classroom. And then there's some other trainings that are taking place in the during the day. And then staff will they'll eat lunch, and then if everything works out, they get an opportunity to leave here and go vote themselves. But there will be no students on that day. All right. And that is all I have for updates.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Howard.
No problem.
And now we are at number 9 with the treasurer comments.
I just have one this evening. I had the opportunity to go to the voter parade last Thursday. It was a really good turnout, nice weather. Our band represented our district. Our superintendent was there, and there was, Dave's superintendent, well, no, he wasn't there. There was other district staff that was there. There was, Belmont had their band, Dunbar had their band, and I just thought it was a really good opportunity for our kids to see the voting process.
Good.
That's all I had.
Oh, okay. All right. Number 10, the superintendent comments.
Okay, I just have a few, but I'm gonna do my best to move quickly. First, just a couple of dates that I want to make sure the board is aware of. On 10/29 and 10/30, both Madison Park and Westbrook Village will be having their family fun nights. 10/29 Madison Park, 10/30 Westbrook Village, and this will be the Halloween activities, trunk or treat, classroom trunk or treats that they anticipate having a very good crowd for. So if you're out and about and are able to, stop by, stick your head in. Just wanted to give everybody that update. 10/26, Mr. Gibson has provided a flyer that he wants me to share with the board. That would be item E, coffee with the principal, Mr. Gibson, on the 26th, Saturday the 26th, from 11:30 to 1 p.m. in the cafeteria. And parents that attend, their child can earn 2 out-of-uniform passes. And if you remember, especially these 2 ladies, if you remember those out-of-uniform passes, they can be like gold for those kids. So he's expecting a good crowd. Parent-teacher conferences are taking place. I believe the elementaries, 2 of the elementaries are going on this evening. Parent-teacher conferences are 5:30 to 7, 5:30 to 7, 5:30 to 7:30. We've had good crowds from what I've seen so far. I was out of district, so I wasn't able to make Monday or Tuesday, but I probably will likely stop, depending on what time we get out of here, stop by and see one of the buildings if we have time. But they are taking place, and of course, parent-teacher conferences are the accumulation of the end of the first quarter. So we have completed our first quarter so far. A lot of positives and a lot of things we know we need to work on. I think we started out, had a great start to the school year, and we're working our way through a lot of different things. I'm getting an opportunity to see how things work from a different perspective. Some things I definitely have my eye on, and I'll make sure I keep the board abreast of some of those things. But But I think we're off to a good start, you know, like always, we've had some hurdles, but we got one quarter down. And, you know, we're looking forward to having 3 more quarters, and, you know, before you know it, you know, we'll be at the end of the semester. The next item is a copy of an explanation of House Bill 29. House Bill 29 is Senate Bill 29 is a very interesting bill that, of course, legislators make decisions and then schools are responsible for executing them. And with Senate Bill 29, what it is it's the Education Record and Student Privacy Bill. So we've kind of been dictated to school districts, we as in school districts, that through the passage of Senate Bill 29, we will now have to be responsible for, in a nutshell, anytime, and Mr. Brenner can kind of chime in a little bit too. Like anytime a student accesses something on a district device that is not school-related, we are responsible for notifying, and Eric can explain it a little more, because it's complex, but it's not in a sense. But go ahead, Eric, if you don't mind. So in a nutshell, which, you know, happens all the time, if a kid has one of our devices and they look up something they shouldn't look up, we've got to, so we're going to be sending out, initially the thought is that we're going to have to send out this information like constantly. And that's what everybody is just, you know, going crazy about, because it's just the bandwidth to communicate with parents like this on a consistent basis every 72 hours is just, it's just bizarre. But it's something that I think they're trying to work through in legislation. Yeah, they're trying to work through in legislation, but, you know, the Senate is not in session. But House Bill 29 right now is a big controversial topic right now, because they're asking schools to do something that we really don't have the bandwidth to do. But I wanted to make sure I provided you guys all that information. This is a PowerPoint presentation that a law firm shared, and just take a look through it, and you know, and then also if we're monitoring their device, we have to notify them as well. Right.
So we use a program called GoGuardian, and every time that a teacher would break open up GoGuardian, they would have to alert that they are looking at a student's device while they use it. So that means that potentially, if a child's going through a school day, each teacher would have to alert the parent throughout the school day every single day. So that, because we know that. Elections have consequences.
Yeah. So, as you can see, we're hoping that they work through. Thank you, Mr. Brenner. They're working through legislation to bring this to a manageable, you know, process, to where we can, you know, we can work through this. But right now, all school districts across the state are really concerned, because there's just not the bandwidth to manage this. All right, so take that home and look at it. And then my last comment is one in a very sad sense and sad nature. The passing of Willis Cotton was one of our students. I shared that with you guys. His funeral services are on Monday, the 21st, and they'll be at Woodland Cemetery. We are going to provide flowers and some additional support to the family, but I wanted to make sure that the board was aware of his services with that regard. From my understanding, Willis passed due to asthma attack, things like that. Okay? All right. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next, we're at the point of the agenda for board comments. Mrs. Currington?
I don't have anything. Just thank everybody for the job that they do.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Condolences to Mr. Cotton's family. That's always terrible news to get. But that's it.
Myself, condolences as well to the family. Wanted to make sure that we just gave another shout out to Mr. Stone. Thank you so very much, Mr. Stone, and all the teachers for the work that you do. I just wanted to congratulate the students, to have a shout out to the students that visited with the Wright State University future teachers. Just exploring different career paths, I just think that's awesome. So I wanted to just shout out to that in the district for providing those students that opportunity. I also wanted to make it clear that this district does not tolerate any kind of bullying. Any kind of bullying is not tolerated. Once it has been identified, then we move expeditiously to try to ensure the safety of a student, because the safety of our students are the first priority. But when I say bullying of any kind, that's bullying from peer to peer, it's bullying from staff, parents, all. We're not tolerating any type of bullying, and I wanted to make sure that we get that message out, that we don't tolerate bullying. I think it's been misconstrued about bullying in our district, so I just wanted to put that out there. Congratulations to all the students who made honor roll and all of the students who are striving to improve their academic status. I do want to say that.
Hey, can I add something to what you just said about bullying?
Yes.
What parents in our district should understand as well is that the Board of Education has full trust in its professionals. So if you're gonna bring something about a student or about your activity to the Board of Education, if you don't follow the proper channels, and you don't follow the proper protocol in reporting it to our professionals first, that is where we're going to direct you. So just make sure that you're following the proper protocol when you're reporting some issues in the school.
Thank you.
And one point with the honor roll, once I get the information with regards to assemblies and things like that, I'll make sure I share that information with you.
Either one of us driving.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. And if nothing else, next on our agenda is moving into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, license of, or regulated individual per BOE policy 0166 and ORC 121.22 G1. Action may be taken, and B, to discuss matters required to keep confidential by federal law or regulations or state status per ORC 121.22. Action may be taken. Have a motion?
I motion that we move into executive session.
I second.
It's been moved in second. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes, motion passes. We will move into executive session at 6:31.